I don't want to kill myself. What are you talking about? Jesus Christ. What is up, my peeps? Bethany here, and welcome back to Childish. I know it's really early, about 30 minutes early than when I normally do a live stream, but I decided, why not? Because I'm frustrated. Because FML! I'm gonna stop yelling. I just need to calm down, and I thought, why not sit in my rocking chair and read a nice story? So let's do this. Chapter 5. Sleep is for the weak. I say umbrellas is for the weak. Okay. Tor nearly dropped Tom as he walked into his room. It wasn't a big room, but it wasn't necessarily small either. But Tord liked it that way. The Red Army didn't have the best funding to begin with, but when Tord, the Red leader, nearly died after the giant robot incident, they had to spend every last penny they had on his surgery. Unfortunately, that meant that the condition of their base matched their money situation. Depressing. In fact, Tord's room was probably the best-looking room in the entire base. Hello. Tord looked for a place for Tom to sleep, his eyes eventually settling on an old plush chair he found on the side of the road years ago. To this day, he isn't sure why he kept the thing, but nonetheless, he cleaned it up and made it look good as new. Almost. He gently placed Tom in the chair so his head was propped up by the armrest, and to Tord's surprise, he fit perfectly. Tord sighed and walked over to his desk while he did make some progress on his great revenge on Tom plan today. He had gotten no actual work done in terms of the Red Army. He sat down and began reading document one of he sat down and began reading document 1 of what from Tord. God, I can't read today because I'm so frustrated. From what Tord could see, 1,000? Sometimes Tord seriously hated being a leader. What's that? What's that? A sleepy voice yawned. Tord jumped slightly, startled by the sudden noise. He turned around to see a sleepy-looking Tom standing behind him. Tom, what are you doing up? You should be asleep. Now go back to your chair, Tord sighed. But I don't like the chair. Tom whined, frowning just a little dramatically. What's wrong with the chair? What is wrong with the chair? It smells funny. Smells funny? I clean that thing every day, and I don't even use it. It's stupid. Tom, how can the chair be stupid? It just is. It's stupid and it smells funny, Tom shouted. Really? Because to me, it sounds like someone is just throwing a tantrum. Tord teased. I'm not! Mr. Tord, please don't make me sleep in that dumb chair, Tom pleaded. Didn't you already promise you won't whine at all today? Tord scowled. This isn't whining, it's complaining. There's a difference. Tom grinned. Glad to see that some of your personality is still there. Tord rolled his eyes. Please, Mr. Tord. Tom, look, Tom. There's nowhere else for you to sleep. I bet there is. You just don't want to tell me where it is. How about this? I should be done with my work in about an hour. If you can miraculously find another place to sleep in that time, then I will let you sleep there. Otherwise, it is the chair or nothing, Tord bargained. Okay, Tom smiled. He skipped away in search of a place to rest up. I'm already starting to regret this, Tord groaned, shifting his focus back to his work. Meanwhile, Tom searched every corner of Tord's room to find the most comfortable spot. Oh, there! Tom laughed to himself. Wouldn't you mind keeping it a little down? Wouldn't you mind keeping it down a little, Tom? Tord asked, not tearing his eyes from the mound of paper in front of him. Sorry, Mr. Tord. Sorry, Mr. Tord. I can't do a British accent right now. Sorry, Mr. Tord. Tom giggled in response. Tom managed to quietly scoot Tord's hideous chair up to Tord's bed. Tom climbed up, punching the chair for revenge, then hopped into Tord's bed. Tom wanted to wait for Tord to finish so that he could rub his victory in his face. No, Jesse-chan! But eventually he got exhausted. But eventually his exhaustion got the better of him, and he drifted off to sleep under the warm sheets. I'm finally done! Maybe I should keep going on these walks since they're distracting me from... Maybe I should stop going on these walks since they're distracting me from my work so much. Nah, Tord chuckled. So, how does you do? Surprising. You've been surprisingly quiet, and I'll admit it. I'm impressed that you... Tord stopped himself, looking immediately upon where Tom had decided to relax. He slowly felt this familiar rage making its way through his body. Thomas! Tord yelled without thinking. Surprisingly, Tom didn't wake up. However, he did seem to squirm a bit in his sleep. Was he having a nightmare? It got to the point where Tord wasn't sure whether Tom was asleep or awake. Tom. Thomas, Tord whispered. He was still mad, but at the same time he was slightly curious. No. Hello, Tom mumbled. So Tom talked in his sleep. Who would have guessed? Maybe it was just something he did as a kid. No. No! No! Tom sprung up, looking pale and absolutely mortified. Mr. Tord? Tom tilted his head to the side. It seemed he was still trying to figure out what was going on. Are you all right, Tom? Tord asked. His actions were only fueling his curiosity. I had a nightmare. What about? I was at that weird store. There were people standing around me, staring at me. They threw things at me and called me names. Tom began to cry a little. Oh, well, it's not real. See, you're right. You're all right, aren't you? Tord shrugged. Damn it, Tord, comfort the baby. He wasn't the best at consoling people, most people, but much less children. And yet, Tom just smiled and nodded. Mm-hmm. He seemed to get some color back in his face. Huh. Well, that was easier than he thought. So, Thomas, care to explain why you're in my bed? Tord growled. Thomas? That's not my name. Answer me, Thomas. Well, you didn't say your bed was off limits. You just said a place to sleep. Tom replied, crossing his arms and pouting. Thomas, I need my bed. Tord sighed. Stop calling me that. Tom whined. Is that whining I hear? Tord raised an eyebrow. Please, Mr. Tord. 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 Fuck. Tord. Tom tried to use what most people call the puppy dog eyes. But when you have no eyes, that can get surprisingly difficult. Alright, but tomorrow you better listen to everything I say. If it's no ifs, ands, or buts. Yes, sir, Tom chuckled, seeing Tom's salute was too weird for Tord at the moment. Thank you, Mr. Tord. Tom hugged Tord and then decided to retreat back under the sheets. Stupid, obnoxious little brat. Tord said under his breath, sinking into the chair he was now being forced to sleep on, since he didn't want to crush Tom in his sleep yet. Excuse-moi! As Tord began to drift off, he realized that Tom was right. The chair was stupid, not to mention ugly. Oh, what is this? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm dying. Yeah, lol, I wish. Oh my god. I can't cough without feeling nauseous, so give me a second. Alright. Chapter 6. Comfort. It had already been a day since Tom had vanished, and Ed was seriously freaking out. Matt tried his best to help his friend, but it had gotten to the point where even Matt failed to cheer him up. Matt knocked on Ed's apartment door and was unsurprised to hear no response. Ed, are you all right in there? As expected, no response there either. Matt sighed and decided to go with Plan B. Well, technically it was Plan C, but Plan B was try climbing through Ed's window, and Matt didn't feel like pulling his ladder out at the moment. Ed, I brought you some cola. Matt heard footsteps quickly making their way towards Ed's front door. Ed yanked the door open. Where? Ed shouted excitedly. Matt smiled. It was nice to see his best friend full of energy again. As promised, Matt held up the 6-pack of cola he was lying around just in case Ed ever ran out. Matt's smile grew wider. He could see pure joy practically shining through Ed's eyes. However, upon further inspection, Matt could see how bad Ed was taking Tom's disappearance. Ed's normally neat hair was all over the place. He had bags under his eyes from lack of sleep, and his green hoodie had more than a few stains. Wow. All of this in just one day. Before Matt really had any time to react. What time is it? It's only been what? Yeah, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Ed snatched the 6-pack of cola from Matt, hugging it close to his chest. Mind if I come in for a bit? Matt asked. Ed simply nodded and held open the door to let Matt in. Fortunately, Ed's apartment didn't look nearly as bad as Matt thought it was going to look. Although Ed probably locked himself in his room for the rest of the day. So the majority of the mess was probably confined to that one room. Matt shuddered just thinking about it. Are you all right, Matt? Are you all right, mate? I'm sorry. Matt? Ed asked, breaking Matt out of his trance. Oh, yes. Sorry, Ed. Matt chuckled. He had a tendency for zoning out. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm not sure if y'all saw, but in the last chapter it said there's not going to be a lot of tomtord until Tom is better. Like, you know, when they get the antidote, some shit like that. Alright. It's okay. Thanks for bringing me cola, by the way. I was starting to think I had run out. Ed laughed. Matt watched as Ed opened his fridge and put them in. Matt also watched as Ed pulled another one out. It didn't matter how much cola Ed had. To him, he was always running out. So, Matt began. He wanted to make sure Ed was all right, but he hadn't really planned this far ahead. I know you're worried, Ed sighed. Matt silently blessed Ed for being able to see through his act. Well, can you blame me? Matt frowned. No, I get it. And for what it's worth, For what it's worth, I'm doing all right. Ed shrugged. I mean, this is a tomtord fanfiction. So, why are you saying no tomtord? Because this is a tomtord. Just saying. Ugh. Ed, no offense, but you look terrible. And trust me. What was that? And trust me. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to looks. Matt posed dramatically for effect. No. It's just... What the fuck? Why isn't it working? Alright. It's just... Tom's our friends, and him disappearing is one thing. He does it all the time, but he's not himself right now. Ed began to tear up slightly. Matt began to panic. Both him and Ed were normally very easygoing, but Ed let things go to him much easier. Ed, it's my fault. I was the one who tripped over you. I was the one who ran into that wall. I was the one who ended up knocking that potion over. It's my fault Tim got hit. Matt mumbled. Ed looked up at Matt. He was no longer crying, but tears were still falling. Matt, it isn't your fault. In fact, I don't think it matters whose fault it is. It was. Ed began. The important thing... No, not now, Bernadette. The important thing now is that we find him. Oh, okay. Ed grinned, unsure of what to do. Matt instinctively hugged the shorter man in front of him, making Ed giggle in response. Hey, do you think maybe that manager lady at the magic shop has seen anything since yesterday? Matt suggested, still not realizing Ed. Maybe it's worth a shot, I guess. Ed shrugged. They sat in a comfortable silence for a while, until the awkwardness of the situation finally caught up to Ed, blushing a little once he realized how long Matt had his arms around him. Matt, if we're going to question the manager, then you'll have to let go of me. Ed chuckled. Oh, right. Matt panicked, snapping out of yet another trance. He let go of Ed, but before he could say anything else, Ed had already began to walk to the door. Now, just wait 1 second. Matt grabbed Ed's arm before he could get any further. What's wrong? Ed, your hoodie is barely green anymore, and it looks like Ringo's taking a nap on your head. Altogether, it looks like you got hit by a truck. Hey, I'll have you know that Ringo's fur is always nice and neat. I treat that cat like royalty. That's not what I meant. What I meant was, I refuse to let you go out looking like that. My hair's an easy fix, but I don't know what you want me to do about my hoodie. All of my other ones are dirty. All of them? You have 12 of the same hoodie, but not one is clean? I was going to the laundry yesterday, but... Here. Matt sighed. He pulled off his green hoodie and handed it to Ed. You can wear mine today. Give me a sec. I can grab another one of mine real quick. Matt smiled. Now that he knew Ed was okay, he felt like he could go back to being his childish self, which he was honestly thankful for. He skipped to his apartment, looking for another hoodie, leaving behind a very flustered Ed. He slipped on his light purple hoodie, only to find that it was much too big for him. The sleeves were much longer than his short arms, and it draped over his legs like a dress. Not to mention that since Matt had just been wearing it. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Oh, something from Instagram. Alright, I'm sorry. Where was I? The hoodie was still warm in a way that made Ed feel strange. A strange mixture of fear and comfort. Despite its flaws, however, Ed kept it on. Only because he had to. Right? Right. He just had to keep telling himself that. Chapter 7. You had one job. Alright. Matt looked down at Ed, who was walking side by side with him. Only now did Matt realize how much taller he was than Ed. They rarely stood next to each other like this, and it made... I'm sorry, I'm tired. Did I take my medicine? I'm not sure. And it made the difference much more apparent. No wonder Matt's hoodie looked so big on Ed. He refused to let Matt mess around with his hair. So Ed's hair was still a little out of control. Matt didn't care what Ed would say when they got home. He was fixing his hair. Why, here we are, Ed exclaimed. Matt looked up to see the magic shop. He always forgot how close they lived to it. All right, let's go find that manager, Matt cheered, practically running through the entrance. Careful, Matt, Ed shouted after him. After yesterday's incident, Ed had hoped Matt would be a little more cautious Then again, it was Matt. You two, someone shouted. The manager from yesterday stomped up to them, holding a worn broom in one hand. Oh, hey? Ed chuckled awkwardly. You said you were going to pay for this mess, the manager growled. And we will, promise. We've just been a little preoccupied looking for our friend. Ed sighed. You mean the eyeless dude from yesterday? Ugh, because of him, we've barely seen any business. Everyone thinks we're dangerous, the manager scoffed. But there have been more than a few incidents here? But there haven't been more than a few incidents here? Ed asked. That's not the point, she yelled. Matt had long since lost the interest in Ed and the manager's conversation, and was sort of just wandering down the very empty store. Look, I promise that the moment we find our friend, and get him back to normal, then we'll pay. Ed sighed. You better, she mumbled. We were actually wondering if you've seen any sign of our friend since yesterday. I can't say I have. Then again, I haven't really been looking. Great. Wait, are you two talking about the guy who got hit with that time reversal potion? An employee asked. Yes, why? Why? The manager replied. Well, I was off yesterday, so I only know what anyone else told me. But I think I actually saw that guy. He became a kid, right? The employee asked. He did. Where did you see him? Ed smiled. I was at the cafe down the road. I saw him running into an alleyway across the way. I was actually going to see if he needed help, but someone else beat me to him. Who? I'm not sure. Someone in a black hoodie ran in after him. I thought it was his father, but I guess I was wrong. Did you see any noticeable features on the guy? I did get a small glimpse of... Oh, no. I did get a small glimpse of his face. When he was walking out with your friend, he had an eye patch, one visible silver eye, and a weird bandage thing on his cheek. The employee finished. Any of that sound familiar to you? The manager asked. not really caring. The eye patch, no. But the one silver eye and the bandage, there's no way. Did you see which way they went? Ed asked. They went towards the other end of town, towards all those abandoned warehouses. You know that I'm saying it out loud. That does sound pretty suspicious. The employee chuckled. Fuck. What am I gonna say? Okay, perfect. The employee chuckled. Perfect. Perfect. Ed sighed. Why didn't you say anything yesterday? The manager scolded. It was my day off. How was I supposed to know he was the one who got hit? Whatever. Look, your friend could be in serious danger. He doesn't just look like a child. He has literally verted back into a child, the manager explained. Really? Yes. He probably has no memory of you or... Hey, where did your other friend go? Both the manager and Ed suddenly realized Matt was nowhere to be found. Matt? Matt? Ed shouted, getting no response from the tall gingerbread man. I'm sorry. Is that him outside? The employee asked. Sure enough, Matt had left and was walking down the street. Yep, thank you again. Ed waved, running to catch up with Matt. I have an idea. How about we put that time reversal potion on a high shelf since it's not selling? Wait, what? Up on a high shelf since it's not selling. Ugh, that's the last time I'm taking suggestions from a custodian in on minimum wage. The manager whispered under her breath. Returning back to her sweeping. It took a minute or two, but Ed finally caught up with Matt, who was leaning against a brick wall. Matt! Ed gasped, desperately trying to catch his breath. Oh, Ed! Matt grinned. Why did you leave? Sorry, I zoned out and forgot why I was even there, so I left. Why am I not surprised? We were there to ask about Tom, remember? Oh, right. So, did they know anything? They saw him leave an alleyway with some random guy towards those abandoned warehouses outside of town. Huh? That doesn't sound creepy at all. That's worse. What's worse is, I think I know who it was. But he's dead, or at least I thought he was. He died. Matt. He had silver eyes, a bandage on his cheek. He had a black hoodie. You do know what this means, right? The kidnapper is probably emo? What? No. Well, a little, I guess. Ugh. Why do I even try to explain these kind of things to you? I don't know. Matt, I think Tord was the one who kidnapped Tom. What? Oh my god. Who's Tord again? You precious cinnamon roll. I might read, I'm probably going to read to, health. Because that's, the 10th chapter. What's fun is that there's, 59 chapters? So, it's going to be fun. Yeah, Mom's going to be pissed. You know what? I'll be right back, you guys. I'm going to see if Mom's outside and she needs help with something. I'm sorry. was singing the smartphone hour from the thing, yeah. Alright. I am back. Mom is not outside. Chapter 8. Not very observant. Tord woke up feeling horrible. Every bone in his body ached from sleeping in his chair. He flipped himself over so his face was pressed up against it, trying desperately to stretch out his back a little. Hello, Emma. Only then did he realize what Tom meant when he said the chair smelled funny. It smelled strongly of smoke. I'm sorry, I was reading the comments. Considering how long it had been in his room, it only made sense. Tord had been trying to quit smoking. According to the Red Army medic, Tord's lungs had become very weak as a side effect to all of his surgeries, and smoking wouldn't help him get stronger. Ugh, Tord groaned as he got up to stretch. Today was going to be a long day. He could already tell. It took him a second to remember why he had slept in that dumb chair in the first place. But his memories came back to him as he saw movement in his bed. Tom hadn't woken up yet, which wasn't very surprising considering how busy his day was. What? Yeah. Tord walked over towards Tom and pulled down the covers just enough to see Tom's face. He wanted to make sure he was sleeping soundly so he could maybe get some work done today. Thank goodness. Tord sighed. Tom was peacefully resting, but something seemed off. Tord saw something red on the tip of Tom's visible ear. Wait, was that blood? Tord walked over to the other side of the bed to get a better view of Tom's head. Tom had glass shards sticking out of his head. His hair was messed and dried up blood. And Tord grimaced when he saw the bedspread was slightly stained with blood. He mentally cursed. He had completely forgotten about. Tord. He had completely forgotten that Tom was even injured. Even his thoughts flickered back to when Tom had first shown him the horrifying injury in the alleyway. Tord had been so focused on literally everything else that it had completely slipped his mind. I swear if it's a concussion, I'm actually giving up. I will straight up walk to Edd and Matt's apartment and drop him in front of them, and then run the other direction. Tord mumbled to himself as he carefully lifted Tom off the bed and carried him towards the infirmary. He knew it was early, and the chances of their medic being fully awake were slim, but he really didn't care. He was their leader, and either they work when he tells them to work, or they can be tortured and executed in front of the entire Red Army. It was their choice. Tord was generous like that. Good morning, Red Leader, sir. The medic saluted. You could see the drowsiness in his eyes. Get that sleepiness out of your eyes. Right this instant, soldier, Tord growled. The medic noticeably panicked. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. The medic apologized. The medic's eyes were suddenly drawn to Tom specifically. The disturbing wound filled with glass on the back of his head. Wait. What? Oh, specifically the disturbing wound filled with glass on the back of his head. I'm sorry, I can't read. You're lucky I need you right now. I need you right now. Otherwise, there would be consequences. Tord glared at the medic. Yes, sir. Won't happen again, sir. The medic quickly replied, his attention shifting towards Tom. He was hit with a glass bottle, I think. Tord shrugged. He could only assume that's what happened. Solely, what the fuck? Based on the shape of the glass. Sir, do you happen to know how big the bottle was? The medic asked, genuinely concerned. It had to have been huge to have left this much glass in that poor child's head, the medic thought. I honestly have no idea. I wasn't there. Tord shrugged. Tord wasn't born yesterday. He could easily tell that their medic was curious as to whose child he had kidnapped. Tord thought about telling the medic for a moment. If Tom were to get hurt again in the future... Dang it. What? Hi. Hello, Skylar. Sir, I hate to inconvenience you, but the medic didn't finish his sentence, but rather held his arms out, implying that Tord hand over Tom for a second. He carefully handed Tom over to the medic, but he never admitted how apprehensive he was to do so. Listen, soldier, I'm going to share some classified information with you, and you may share what I tell you only with Paul and Patrick. Understand? If I find out you told anyone else, then I'll personally make sure you'll never be able to tell anyone else again. Do I make myself clear? Tord grinned maniacally. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. The medic tried to salute again, but he found it was a little difficult with Tom in his arms. Tord sighed and proceeded to explain yesterday's situation to him. Now, are there any questions? Tord asked as he finished his explanation. Just one, sir. If you don't mind, sir. Oh, just one, if you don't mind, sir. I wouldn't have asked you if you had any questions, if I did. Oh, right. Are you sure those two guys won't find him here? I mean, shouldn't we at least hide somewhere a little farther away from town? Are you questioning my decision? No, sir, not at all. No, sir, not at all. My phone's at 5%. Where is my charger? Fat. I know my charger's still in the room. It's in the other room. Oh, I don't want to get out of my chair, but I'm gonna have to. No, sir, not at all. I was just trying to offer some help. Well, you know, I asked for... It's not freaking there. Hold on, I gotta find my charger. Where did I put it? It was right there. Oh, there it is. It was right beside me. I'm very stupid. I tripped over a shoe. Well, I didn't trip, but I stubbed my toe on a shoe. How ironic is that? Oh my gosh. Let me plug my phone in real quick. Alright, there we go. It's charging. Well, you know, I asked for your questions, but I don't recall asking for your opinion. Tord's evil grin became even more sinister. Please don't hurt me, Red Leader. I'm so sorry, sir. So sorry. And there he goes, begging on his knees again. Tord made a mental note. As soon as the Red Army could recruit more soldiers, he simply had to choose some that actually had spines. Stand up, soldier. You're embarrassing yourself. And Mom's home. Alright, I'll finish this chapter really quick. Just tell me if Tom is alright, Tord sighed. Just let me check to see if his eyes are dilated. The medic grabbed... Good luck. The medic grabbed some type of medical tool off of the table and tried to lift Tom's eyelid without waking him up. Oh, wait. Unfortunately, Tord was just a little too late. Yes. Oh my god. The medic screamed as he threw his medical tool towards some random corner of the room. He has no eyes! The medic shouted. Tord silently scolded him since he had neglected to mention that one tiny detail. Alright, this is getting annoying. All I want was for you to remove the glass that is literally embedded in his head and clean the blood off his hair. That's literally it. What if he has some kind of brain damage? He went from being a grown man to a child in one day. If that didn't give him brain damage, then I'm pretty sure nothing will. Okay, sir. I'll try my best to make sure Tom stays asleep during the procedure. I heard my name. The medic nearly dropped Tom when he started talking. Thomas, how long have you been awake? Tord asked. And Thomas, you only call me that when you're angry. Tom pouted. Oh, sir, I hate to say it, but we don't have any of the right materials to put him back to sleep. Our budget just doesn't support that kind of thing. You'd have to be kidding me. Alright, just do the procedure while he's awake. The little brat can use some pain. Maybe it will finally make him behave. Tord rolled his eyes. Tord rolled his good eye. What? Pain? I didn't want that. Tom panicked. Just make sure not to hurt him too much. He'll feel plenty of pain once we turn him back to normal. Tord chuckled as he began to leave the infirmary. Tom was a little too busy trying to escape. He hadn't heard a word Tord said. Sir, I could use a little help. The medic shouted after him. You're on your own, soldier. Man up. Tord laughed as he left. I don't like you. Where's Mr. Tord going? Tom complained. Now just stay calm. You don't want the glass to stay in your head all day, now do you? I'm sure we can come up with some sort of agreement. Where's Mr. Tord? Where's Mr. Tord? Tom screamed. Oh dear. Tord was right. Today was going to be a long day. Perhaps not just for him. Well, guys, I'm going to have to end this here. I know this was a relatively short thing, but my mom's home, so I think she might need help with something. Peace, peeps. I love you all.